Hello Internet, it's everybody's favorite banned in China YouTuber, FPS Diesel. And today, according to my new employers over at the new headquarters, apparently I get political. So today, we're gonna talk about a new bad word. The baddest word in town. Today, we're talking about boomers. So yes, apparently the meme I've been using for the last, what I think like year and a half, like it is finally gone nuclear. By that I mean Facebook moms are using it. Which, as we all know in the life cycle of memes, that this is the end of the road for boomer. So, we can go over the epic peaks of boomerism in the nice Wojak boomer painting, which I cannot wait to see in the Modern Art Museum. Really just a representation of peak boomerology and boomer ethics. Really, like, look at that. Work hard. Really, this whole boomer thing, like, came to a head about a week ago at this rate. Really, at the beginning of this week. Personally, I saw it when the New York Post, made an article. By that, I mean, it all peaked when an op-ed writer for the New York Post decided to write something that was definitely out of his league. But, as we all know, with people who live on the coastal states, they have no idea how other people live. So Steve Kuzo, who's my new favorite General Boomer Supreme, or Kuzo, I'm probably butchering his last name, but he's a restaurant critic for the New York Post, and he wrote an article. And this article was entitled, "Millennials' Extreme Hatred for Baby Boomers is Totally Unjustified." And look at that picture. You got Grandpa, and you got his son that doesn't understand. Now, I read this article, and I thought, wow, this has gone just in the weirdest direction ever. Now, I've been using boomer pretty much regularly in my speech for quite some time now, right? I've been here in the primordial oozes of this meme, the beginning births of it. Hell, let's be real here, between me and Wild Spartans, we use boomer to describe what we drink, or whatever. You know, the boomer juice, the ultra white monster, that's almost a staple of who I am as a person. Because I keep drinking it. I have an addiction. Somebody help. But enough about my addiction. I've been using this word so regularly to describe things that aren't old people or people with ideas that are out of date or really stupid. Now, for the boomers in my audience, or those of you who might think you are actually literally a baby boomer, allow me to explain what a boomer is. A boomer is a state of mind. It's an idea of thinking, a way of thinking. You know, it's a way of thinking where you could go at that person and go, yeah, your ideas are out of date and stupid. That's really the point of it, right? So, for example, when Paul Joseph Watson is like, tattoos are stupid, ooga booga, that is a boomer opinion. And that's a boomer opinion because he's annoyed that people wear tattoos, and also that he thinks that they are non-functional. And yeah, I get it, tattoos are non-functional, but PJW's opinions on this are so stupid. I know we have a podcast episode on it if you want to dig through the Loudmouth's archives to figure out which episode that is. Basically, it's like when you have an opinion that's like, oh, well, I think movies these days are much worse than movies back in my day. Then somebody will respond, okay, boomer. Instead of addressing the argument and having a discussion, much like the clown emoji before it, it's just a way to dismiss any form of argument whatsoever. And really, the response is not to dismiss the argument, but really to elicit like a response. You know, the phrase "don't feed the trolls" comes to mind, you know, where it's like you have this word here, and obviously, if you respond to it, you prove people completely right that you're a boomer. Same thing if you respond to like all the clown stuff earlier, like you would just be like, boom, destroyed. It's really a lose-lose scenario for anybody on the receiving end of boomer. But I really think that the boomer thing, it's just so like, come on, like, does nobody have a backbone anymore? Literally, this is just, it's the most empty insult ever. And the more we use boomer as an insult, the less it's gonna matter. Seriously, there's no weight behind the insult anymore. But yeah, Steve Kuzo seems to think that there's a lot of weight behind it, so let's read his article. Baby boomers who cried, "Don't trust anyone over 30 during the Vietnam War should be scared to death of millennials. Because at least among the Twitterati," instead of the Illuminati, the Twitterati, you know, the people who use Twitter regularly. You know the Twitterati, the anime profile picture, the K-pop stand, and the guy with something that vaguely racist. According to the Twitterati, they hate us. They really, really hate us. No, Steve. That's not the case. People are making fun of you because you sound old and out of touch. Last week, I took a beating from younger readers over an essay I wrote lamenting the decline of the power lunch. Oh wait, I know who Steve is. I've seen that article. The idea of what a power lunch is just the most bougie, like, I wear a suit and tie and work on Wall Street kind of thing. Like, a power lunch is going to lunch and getting stuff done. Like, God, like, what farts are you sniffing, bud? Although, it's only partially blamed the phenomenon on millennial habits. For example, preferring avocado and kale to beef and baked potatoes. You're telling me that people eat vegetables? Look, Steve, you can eat any kind of meat and potatoes you want for lunch, and quite honestly, that sounds like a hearty lunch. I would enjoy that. That is something I eat regularly because, you know, I'm FPS Diesel. I'm the biggest Chad to ever live. But the thing is like, when you eat that for lunch, and let's say you eat that every day, like, Steve, do you pass bowel movements regularly? This is a serious question, because if you're eating like that, you're gonna have the stiffest poops in the land. Anyway, Steve goes on to say, Twitter either posted or retweeted such insults as old man yells at lunch table, I'm 69. Nice. And unfortunately, Steve, yes, you are old. If you have a passing remembrance of things like World War II or divided bathrooms between colors, then yes, you might be old. What is it like to be an antique? And we're the ones doing the actual lunches while you're having 3 martini lunches. Steve, they're bodying you and you're including their insults in your article. What are you trying to do? Set yourself up for failure? God, don't open like this. You're opening up like you're already defeated. Millennials, and to some extent their Gen X and Gen Z brethren. Whoa. As a Gen Z, I don't want the millennials here. Anyway, apparently these generations hate their elders with a ferocity never before seen in our culture. Where have I seen the youth rising up against the older culture before in human history? With a lot of ferocity and almost a counterculture-like attitude. I don't know where that could have happened. Steve, you're a restaurant critic, not a historian. Anyway, he goes on to say that these generations are egged on by the media-savvy likes of 16-year-old Greta Thunberg. What the hell does this have to do with anything? We're talking about age politics. We're not talking about climate change. This is literally the old man yells at cloud thing. Like, this is what that is. They blamed prolonged heat waves on boomers who supposedly stood by and cheered as the earth went up in flames. Now, I'll say this, there's plenty of old, intelligent people working on climate change, and there are those that are not. Right? I think anybody who has just the smallest amount of intellectual prowess would know that there's a lot of old people that are really smart working to solve problems, as much as there are young people who are really smart looking to solve problems. Obviously, not all boomers or people who are literally baby boomers are responsible for the results of today's modern society. While yes, the generation before every other generation that comes up, right, leaves a set of problems and answers for the next generation coming up. That's just how it is. You've left problems for millennials to fix, and you fix certain problems for millennials. This is just the reality of it. It's not that you caused all the problems, but you seem to feel very offended that some guy on Twitter said you caused all the problems. The phrase, okay boomer, has now become young people's repeated retort to the problem of older people who just don't get it. And Steve, you are the older people who just don't get it. If you understand what it is, then why are you complaining about it? Because if you can look at that and go, am I that person that they are making the joke about? If no, then it's okay, I can move on with myself. If yes, then it's a joke, just go on with myself. It's really like an inability to just critically think at the idea of something being a joke. Anyway, Steve goes on to say that this is marking the end of friendly generational relations. No, Steve. No, it's not. The New York Times declared last week, according to the article, a teen designer has already sold $10,000 worth of sweatshirts with the OK Boomer slogan repeated many times on the front end with the line, "Have a terrible day." It just makes me a little upset that I didn't make an OK Boomer shirt any sooner. 2020. OK Boomer merch? I don't know. Nah, the meme's gonna be dead by then. Nobody wants that. Like, get out of here. Generation gaps will always be with us. Okay. So, what's the point of this article? Oh my god, this article just goes on and 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 on. Boy, oh boy. So, yeah, obviously this article is bad. I think that's a given. Now, I don't have the tweets or, like, the articles associated that were, like, millennial people trying to say that saying "Okay, Boomer" was a response to things like colonialism and like other very just super high concept bullshit in politics. It's not that either, and you are reading way too much into it. It's like with Pepe, where people like are trying to discern meaning from this green frog, right? Who that can really have any meaning associated with him. I mean, hell, like just last video we were talking about the Hong Kong protest. Imagine how many people are actually walking around with Pepe. And I know people have been because I've seen pictures and I've seen videos. I even saw videos in New York when they did a protest about Hong Kong. There were tons of people with Pepe. It's like people are trying to assign all of these meanings to memes when really it just ain't that deep. It's like you're a high school English teacher trying to say, now what was the author saying by the drapes being blue? Oh, well, I think he was really commenting on the ideas of capitalism making people sad in society. Or maybe the drapes were just blue. Do you ever think of that? So I'm going to call this right now that we're going to see OK Boomer articles for the next week about millennials trying to discern what OK Boomer actually is, and then boomers trying to say that, hey, we're not boomers, we're a lot like you, and stop blaming me. I'm not an OK Boomer. Don't OK Boomer me. I'm gonna block you on Twitter. But you know, you're gonna get articles like this happening before the OK Boomer meme dies because Facebook moms use it and all meaning has been lost. But I'm gonna call this now that by the time the next generation comes up, if my videos are still around and people are using me as the great enlightened thinker of the year 2050, I will tell you this right now, that there will be another article by some old guy from my generation talking about that upcoming generation, about how they're annoying and they don't get it and they're destroying everything. And that'll happen, and it'll continue to happen. It'll happen until the end of time. Like, literally, there was an older generation who was like, well, these little kids are not working the field, they are reading books and wasting time. And now, you think a child's a genius for reading My Little Hungry Caterpillar. But like these generational differences things and the fact that the older generation and the younger generation don't get along seems pretty consistent with history. I mean, we only have to look at certain things that Steve is ignoring. He's getting so close to noticing, but he just can't seem to get it. Anyway, I give it about 48 hours after this video comes up before the OK Boomer meme is officially dead. I mean, we're already having companies use OK Boomer, so we're already on the way out. Way to kill the meme, guys. You did it. You did it. At least this one's been around for a while in the underbelly of the internet before some stupid guy at a PR agency was like, I can use that to look relatable. And before we get to the comments of this video, which will ostensibly be filled with nothing but OK Boomer and OK Boomer and OK Boomer, just know that you're an absolute comedian. You are so funny. You know how funny you are? You're absolutely hilarious. Man.
You're laughing at me. I like it.
I said OK Boomer, not OK Google, but okay. That was really weird. That is definitely the Chinese government spying on me. My time is up.